This is my journey, and I love it. Something that Gracie Chavez says frequently. Gracie is the youngest of 5 siblings, owns her own florist business, loves Legos, enjoys hanging out with family, and she has 22Q. Her parents found out about her diagnosis when she was 2 years old, but it wasn't until when she was 20 when she started to begin experiencing heart issues. This caused her to seek out more information about her 22Q. I am so honored to introduce you to Gracie. Welcome to the 22Q podcast. My name is Becky White, and today we have Gracie here with us today. Hi, Gracie. How are you? Thank you for being on.
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for letting me be on.
I met Gracie through the 22Q Family Foundation, and she contacted me and she said, I'd be really interested in being on the podcast because I have 22Q and I'd love to share my story. So Gracie, you are the first person on our podcast who has 22Q who's sharing their story. And I just want to say thank you so much. And introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are, where you work, your family, anything.
Okay, well, like she said, my name's Gracie. I am from Toledo, Ohio area. I have actually 5 siblings. I am the only child with 22Q. I have a dog and a nephew that I love. I am a floral designer as well a housekeeper, and I intern for the 22Q Family Foundation.
Nice. And how long have you been in the industry of a florist?
Probably since 2016, so it's been maybe 5 years. I've been in
Wow.
it for a long time. I went to a kind of like a career school starter kind of thing, and I got my career passport as a florist from there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
which we all thought it was funny because I told my mom I wanted to be a cosmetologist. Well, at least that's what I thought when I was in high school. I wanted to do hair, makeup, and then came home one day, told her, nope, I want to work with flowers. And she's like, okay. She's
Yeah,
like, that's okay. She's just like, we can do that.
that's great. And where do you work?
I actually own my own business at home. So I have my own little personal floral studio in my garage, and that's where I work.
That's amazing. And you really enjoy it.
I love it. It's
What's
very
your
much
favorite flower?
sunflowers are my favorite flower.
Sunflowers. I love it. Well, that explains is there a sunflower on your Outshine label shirt? Is there a sunflower?
Yes, it is.
There is.
Yep,
There
there's
is.
3 of them that says embrace your journey. Yep.
We will talk about that later, but yes. So it's all connecting. It's all connecting. So what do you enjoy for fun? What do you like to do for fun?
Right now I've been really into Legos. I have quite an addiction to Legos. As well as creating merch. I love creating merch for my line.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love spending time with my family, honestly. My family and we're all pretty close together. We actually all live in the same home right now. So sometimes it can get a little loud and crazy here, but it's all fun. We all love
Mm-hmm.
and enjoy each other's company. So that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned you had all those siblings. Where are you? Are you the oldest, the youngest, or are you in the middle?
I am the baby
You're
of the
the
family.
baby.
Yes, I'm the baby. So
Yeah.
my dad actually had a kid before he met my mom. So he's my half brother, but we include him as just like our full brother.
Mm-hmm. Well, nice. It sounds like it's a loving home
Yeah.
and a busy home with all of you there.
People
That's
are always
great.
going in and out of the house.
Yeah. What is one thing that you love doing with your family?
One thing that we all love to do is actually we like to be in competition with each other. In this year for Halloween, we did a carving pumpkins competition, and
Nice.
we all get really headstrong when it comes to being and competing with each other. And I actually won this year, so
Woohoo! What was your picture on your pumpkin?
I did a little pumpkin house, and then I bought a little tiny pumpkin, and I made a face out of it and I put it inside the pumpkin. So it looked like someone was living inside the pumpkin.
That's amazing. Did you come up with that all by yourself?
So like I saw it on Pinterest.
Of course. Pinterest is the best. That's an awesome idea. I may have to show that to my son. And we may have to replicate it. Please share with us your 22Q journey.
Well, my 22Q journey is kind of different because, like you said, I am someone with 22Q.
Mm-hmm.
We started at the age of 2, and that was like when internet was like just starting up. My mom told me, and so all she could really find was stuff in the United Kingdom. Like there was nothing around here in the U.S., and she was struggling with that. And the doctors are just like, well, let's do a fish test on your daughter and see what's going on. And they told us it was VCF, which is facial cardio syndrome. And then at the age of 20, I started having heart issues again. So I was having heart attacks. My chest was always hurting. So my mom's like, you know what? Maybe let's go see a doctor. Saw a doctor in Toledo. He couldn't do much because he doesn't know anything about VCF and he doesn't know about anything about how you can have a reverse attachment in it, all that, which is what I have. I have a reverse arch in my heart. He sent us to Cleveland Clinic. So that's where I do all of my appointments now, which is at Cleveland Clinic. And
Mm-hmm.
they told us there's actually more stuff now about VCF. It's actually called 22Q. And we saw a geneticist because of that reason, because we had to get all new doctors. Because even though I was a practitioner's kid with the practitioner's nurses, when you grow up, you kind of have to find and figure out like your own doctors because you can't stay with them forever, even though you want to stay with them forever, but you can't.
Right.
So that's kind of how we found out more about 22Q was because of Cleveland Clinic.
So you found out at 2, but
Mm-hmm.
then at the Cleveland Clinic, what was it like finally being with doctors that could give you answers? What was that feeling for you?
For myself, I felt very like refreshed. I was like, this makes sense why I do this. This is why I'm like this compared to my cousins or to my friends. This all makes sense now. So to me, it was just really like reassurance about everything that's going on right now as an adult with everything.
Mm-hmm. And when you were younger, when did you really find out, or when did you start to realize that you had 22Q?
I think well, in elementary, I never realized it because you're a kid, you don't pay attention to those things. But I would have to say probably once I got to high school. So it was probably like seventh or eighth grade, because at that time, that's where the middle school was at. It was with the high school. And I noticed certain things because I would always tell my mom, I'm like, why do I have to go to speech? Why do I have to go to these kind of classes? Like, can I be with my friends? And I never really understood that until my mom told me, well, it's because of your disability. You gotta go to IEP meetings, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, but it's okay, which is what my mom told me. It's okay to have those things.
And did you ever feel like discouraged or different or special? What did you feel having to do all those therapies and everything?
I felt very out of place. I felt very different. I knew I was different. My cousin has told me all my life, she's like, she is a social worker and she had an interview me for work. And she said, now it makes sense why you got to do all those things. I just thought you had it. And I was like, no, not easy. Harder. Way more harder than you thought. And a lot of times I felt like people thought that I was just, I don't know, goody two shoes in school. And I got to do so many other things compared to them. And even though those things that I got to do, they didn't realize what was behind the closed doors of those. Because in that room, in those situations, I felt very excluded from my friends.
what were some of the things as you were growing up? You had mentioned speech, and you had mentioned your heart. What other things were going on due to your
Uh,
22q, whether it was like medical, physical challenges?
I had memory issues. I had trouble with memory. I had anxiety probably about when I was like 18 or 19, something around there. And just recently, I've been dealing with depression. I also have arthritis and I have hearing issues as well.
How have you been coping with all of those things?
Some days are harder than others. Yesterday, it was probably like one of my lowest days I had in a very long time. I think yesterday it was probably really bad, but today it's honestly really good. So it just
Good.
comes in waves. It just depends on the day.
It does come in waves, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It definitely does. And when you're having those lows, what helps you?
I think I don't know how religious everybody is. My mom has taught me at a really young age to be close with God. So I think being close with him and either that's listening to worship music or reading my Bible, that's what really helps me get out of my funk.
Hmm.
Also, sometimes I like doing hands-on things. So rather, as weird as it sounds, rather that be cleaning my room, I love to clean, love to be organized or build Legos as well. So I just try to distract my mind from whatever is happening.
I'm glad you have those things that you can go to and help you. Have you been able to meet anyone else with 22q? And what was that experience like for you?
Yeah. Actually, the 22Q Family Foundation, they sent me out this year to the 22Q convention in Columbus at Nationwide. I got to meet, there's maybe only four of us, including myself, that were young adults there. So I became all friends with them. We all hung out throughout the whole weekend pretty much. And now we're all friends on social media. We talk to each other a lot. It was really such an eye opener for me because around my little town that I live in Toledo, there's no one with 22. I was like the only one, and it's so small the fact that when my mom brought me home when I was a baby, the town, a lot of my dad's friends, which they all work in the town, call me Baby Grace, and they still call me that, and I'm 25. Um,
Do you
so
like
that
being called Baby Grace?
depends on the person who's calling me. It has to be. It depends on the person. It can't be like a random person in town just call me that. But it's very like weird when they do.
Right?
But yeah, no. Nationwide, that was really such an eye opener. It made me feel more like myself than anything. I got to be myself, and even though I am myself, even around here, but it was just a little bit different.
Hmm. And what would you say to anyone else that's listening that has 22q and that has never been to the nationwide conference? What would you say to them?
Go if you can. It is really amazing thing. Even if you're a young adult and you feel like you're not going to meet anyone there, just go. Because I thought the same thing. Because I was there mainly just to work at the convention at our table booth. So I was just there working, but I actually had a really fun time and it was nice meeting more families, especially on the last day of the convention. It was really nice. I would say at 100% go if you can.
And other than nationwide, what other organizations or books or websites have you used over the years that has helped you navigate your 22q journey?
My mom hired an IEP specialist to help us out with that. That helped her out tremendously when going into school. I think what helped me was my geneticist, the geneticist at Cleveland Clinic. He really helped me understand everything, and he actually was the one who told me about the 22Q Family Foundation. And so I did my own research online. Facebook is a great resource as well. Instagram, surprisingly, if you're a young adult, there's a lot of young adults who create content for 22Q for young adults. So
Hmm.
Instagram is a great way too.
Do you want to share your Instagram handle or no?
Yeah, we can. It's
Okay, what is it?
I think it's my name. I'm not sure. Yes, it is Gracie underscore Renee
Okay,
with 3 E's.
awesome. I will post it in the description of this podcast. So if
Okay.
anyone else would like to connect with you, they can follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok as well.
Nice.
I have my own Facebook, but that one I just use mainly for, friends and family. I don't really accept anyone on there. But if you want to, more about my journey, what I'm doing today, Instagram is usually the place to go.
Great. Thank you. And what was your education process like?
Hard. It
Yeah.
was very hard. A lot of hard work went into it. Again, referring to my cousin when she interviewed me, she thought the teachers were always giving me like those sign notes. And I was like, no, they were not just giving it to me just to give it to me. They made notes that were easier for me to understand. So that's what she was seeing in her head. It was very hard. So note cards were always a big thing for me. My mom would actually make silly songs out of stuff to help me remember.
And that was helpful.
That was very helpful because I'll be sitting there in the chair like humming that song. And I'll be like, oh yeah, that's where that went.
That's a great idea. I love that. I'm going to use that with my
So
son.
that helped a lot. I think also, being on an IEP, it kind of helped because they would send a lot of us kids that had IEP into another room to do the test, where
Hmm.
it would be very quiet, and not so loud. That helped a lot as well.
Hmm. What did you enjoy about school?
Nothing really too much other
No.
than
Oh, no.
being with my friends, I would have to say, spending time with them and being with my cousin. My cousin and I, we were in the same grade, so we had a
Hmm.
lot of the same teachers,
Hmm.
and we also had the same last name, obviously. So we would share lockers right next to each other. So I think that would be like my favorite part, probably just being with my cousin, the whole time.
Hmm. And for anyone listening, what encouragement do you have for kiddos listening that may be in high school or middle school and struggling with their 22Q and feeling a little different? What would you say to them?
I'm gonna be straightforward. It doesn't get easier when you're an adult. When you're an adult with a disability, they look at you like you have a disability. You don't look like you have one. Because I've been fortunate enough where I don't look like I have a disability, so I get questioned a lot. It's okay to have your dark days. It's okay to be down, but just don't live there. You can be there for a moment, and I think it's okay to be down. Your feelings are valid. You're allowed to have those feelings, but also understand that even if you think your mom or dad is yelling at you, they're not. They're not yelling at you. They're just trying to figure out like you're trying to figure it out. And sometimes
Mhm.
it takes two heads to figure out one situation.
Yeah. School must have been so challenging. So now that you're 25, have you found that you've almost come to peace with your 22Q? Have you embraced it a little bit more?
I have embraced it a lot in the past. Probably when did I find out? 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I used to kind of keep it in a hidden bubble. Only my immediate family knew. Like I would never tell my friends or anything because I didn't want them to exclude me because I was so different. Didn't want them to have feelings for me because I had, you know, disability issues. And now that I'm 25, I'm just like, I have 22. This is me. Take it or leave it. Like
Hmm.
I kind of just like don't care anymore. But it took a lot for me to be here where I was.
Right. And when you did finally find the right time to share it with your friends that you had 22Q, what was their response?
A lot of them told me, the usual. Oh, I didn't know you had it. You didn't look like you had a disability. I actually did it with the 22 Family Foundation. Lindsay does stories every month to families, and that's how I came out and I told everyone, like, I have 22, this is me. And I got a really great positive response, even with like my own family members who knew. They were just so proud of me because I finally spoke out like I should have a long time ago. So I had a really great response with it. I think the day back then, it was very different to now. I think a lot of people are more accepting now to those kind of things than they were when we were kids. Because if I did that as a kid, I don't think they would have probably understood.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right. When the 22Q Family Foundation did post your story, what was that day like for you? Were you nervous? Were you excited? What were you feeling?
I was very nervous. I told my mom, I was like, what if, the, what if other people notice this when they see me now out in public? My family and I, we go out a lot as a family together. We go to dances, Hispanic dances, because I'm Hispanic. So I told my mom, I'm like, what if we go to dances now and people are going to start looking at me differently? Like, what if your friends say something? Because her friends are also my friends. We all hang out together all the time. So I was like, I just don't want people to say anything bad about me now, and stuff like that. And my mom was like, no, this is going to be a great thing. You did a great thing, like, and you're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. And I was fine the whole time. I was just being dramatic in my head. But I
Oh,
didn't know how I was feeling, and that's how I was feeling. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling excited, anxious,
right.
all of
Yeah, you're telling the world, this is me. I have
it.
22Q. That's a big deal. So your feelings are validated. And I'm glad that you were able to do that. I'm glad that you were given the space to do that. And, for anyone that has 22Q and that's listening, and even people that don't have 22Q, and you could tell the world something about living with this diagnosis, what would you want to tell them?
I would have to say that it is, even though it's hard, it's an amazing thing because not only you have your family behind you, you have a whole community supporting you in whatever you do. And that has been an extremely overwhelmed for me because when I was growing up, I didn't get to have a community that was just like me until I turned 20. Then I realized, oh, there's other people like me, that you have positive people in your life. I think the community itself is just very positive and a beautiful thing, even though it can be hard some days.
Hmm. Hmm. Thank you for sharing that. And what are some of your dreams for the future?
My dream is to hopefully own my own floral business, like a building, like not just for my garage, which is
Yeah.
fine. I'm fine with working out of my garage, but I would love to own my own floral shop one day.
Yeah. What would the name of it be? Have you thought about it?
Mhm.
Yeah. What would it be?
It would be done with grace.
I love it.
So
I
it's
love it.
like a kind of like a play on play. So you can see it done with grace, like with me, or done with grace.
I love it. Keep dreaming. It'll come true.
Yeah, I'm working hard.
Well, keep working hard. I'm sure you are. And with your 22Q and navigating it, what do you find has been the biggest struggle for you?
I would have to say the biggest struggle for me lately it has been hearing issues. Coming at 25, at 2 years old, actually, I think three, I was supposed to be having a hearing aid the whole time when I was a child. But as a child, I hated it. I didn't like it, so I would throw it out of my ear all the time, which I firmly regret it now because I got told probably a week ago that I have to have hearing aids.
Okay.
So right now that has been a big struggle for me to hear. Memory issues are always a hard thing for me. Still have trouble with that. I also have trouble with my ADHD. Sometimes if I'm focusing on one task, I'll do another task and then come back to that task. And then my depression is also another big thing.
What helps you with your ADHD? Is there anything that really helps you focus and stay grounded?
If I have a full on to do lists are like the best thing for me because I can see those things in each step. So, like, okay, I have to do this first and then I can work on that. But if I don't do a to do list, my mind will go everywhere and I'll
Yeah.
somehow clean the whole house without even trying to clean the whole house, you know?
Yep. Yep. To-do lists are great. I find for me, they're like great. And then they're all a little daunting, but at least you've written it down. You've gotten it
Yeah.
out of your head and onto a piece of paper. And what are some struggles that your family and friends may not see?
Right now, with everything going on with me right now, hearing, I recently told my cousins I have to get a hearing aid, and they were like, "But you can hear." I'm like, "No, I can't. I can't hear." Especially out of my right ear, if someone's next to me right here. Like, it's not because I'm avoiding you and you're talking to me. I just can't hear you. I would have to say depression is another one that's really hard. They don't see, mainly because they don't live in my home. They can't see it. Recently, my older sister has been realizing it a little more each day since we all live in a big house now. Like she sees it a lot more than she used to. I would just have to say those those are probably like my only two right now.
And what would you like people to say when you're feeling those things or maybe having a bad day with your depression? What would you love people to say or do that would help?
I think just giving me my space. Space is a big thing. Don't be coming at me, asking me a bunch of questions. I don't like that, especially when I'm in that dark space. I love my alone time. So if you see me in my room, it's not because I'm mad at you or I'm avoiding you. It's because I probably had a rough day.
Thank you for sharing that. And if you could go back in time to when you found out your diagnosis and tell yourself something, what would that thing be?
I think I would tell myself that it's okay to not be okay. Your feelings are valid. You're going to have hard days, but those hard days will turn into sunshine eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that you're going to do great things, even when you think you're not going to be able to succeed in life. You're going to do a lot of amazing stuff. And even though you're taking in all this process about having 22, being a disability child, those things are going to be really great because you're going to do some amazing work with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I would tell myself.
I think it's great advice. And what advice do you have for other individuals living with 22q that may be listening?
Oh, I don't know. Um, it's hard. It is hard. You gotta have those hard days. But my mother has always told me that it's okay if you're down for a moment. You just can't live in that moment. You have to somehow escape yourself out of those moments. But it's okay that you can have those moments. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably one of my biggest things because that has helped me out tremendously. That I can be down for a moment, but I just can't be there forever.
Exactly. Great words of advice. Great words of advice. And what keeps you going? What support or working out or therapy or alone time or sharing? Like what keeps you going?
Faith, I would have to say, is a big thing. My faith with God and also my nephew. My nephew keeps me going. Even though he can
Oh,
be a handful, he keeps me going. And I just want him to see like it's okay if you're different. If you are, you can still do great things. So I would have to say those are my two biggest things, my faith and my family, especially my nephew. So yeah.
you still can do great things. I love
Hmm.
that. And it is so true, Gracie. So I did want to mention your Outshine Label merchandise line. It's called Embrace Your Journey. Would you mind just sharing that and what that is and how people can order?
You can order from outshinelabels.com. They have a lot of great other children with disabilities, not just with 22Q. We also have the 22Q Family Foundation merch on there as well. How that started, my saying is, this is my journey and I love it. That's what I have always said since starting it with my geneticist and all that. And then I told my mom one day, I was like, I really want to create merch. I told her, she's like, yeah, we could probably, figure something out. Because I told her I felt like there wasn't anything really like that was for 22Q, but isn't for 22Q, unless you got 22Q, plastered on yourself, like on the shirt, which is fine. But most people are not into that kind of merchandise. They want cute graphic design or whatever. There's actually a little something inside each piece of my merchandise. If you see, there'll be a hidden semicolon in each piece wherever the design is. Semicolons are a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm. I love the design. I will definitely post it in the description of this podcast, but it's Embrace Your Journey. And then there's an elephant one too, right?
Yes, there's an elephant inspired by my grandmother.
Oh, I love that.
She is the reason why I have a huge elephant collection. I collect elephants, but only with the trunk up because that brings good luck if the trunk is up. So my grandma taught me how much I love and adore elephants. She showed me how smart, creative, and funny and loving they are. So that one is inspired by my grandma.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's a really cool design.
And that is actually a drawing. My mom drew that.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
I love it.
She drew that whole elephant and we made it into a shirt. So it's inspired by my mom and my grandma.
Oh, double meaning.
Yeah.
Great. And is there anything else that you would like to mention or share about 22Q or anything else before we end today?
Yeah. The 22Q Family Foundation, we are working on a virtual run again, either run or walk awareness. And right now, since it is November, this is our awareness month. So right now we're trying to reach a certain goal, and it would be amazing if you guys could help us out.
Thank you. I will definitely put that link in the description as well. And we love the 22Q Family Foundation here at the 22Q podcast. But Gracie, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being on today. You are just such a beautiful soul. I just wanted to say that you just seem so happy. The few times we've talked, you're just a bubbly, sweet, kind soul. And I want to thank you truly for sharing with me today on the podcast.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for so much for telling me that.
I mean it. I mean every word. So keep
Yeah.
being amazing. And I guarantee you'll have that flower shop in no time.
Yeah.
Gracie, thank you so much for sharing your perspective, your story, and being so amazing. When I started this podcast, this was my goal, to give a space for individuals like yourself to share with the world who you are and what it's like living with 22Q. So thank you so very much. And for anyone that would like to contact me, you can reach me at 22qpodcast@gmail.com with any questions, concerns, or if you're interested in being on this podcast. Until next time, thank you again, and please share this and subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And never forget, 22Q family, that you are not alone.